My boyfriend demanded I unlove my ex. When I refused, he turned violent. Now he's stalking me, and my old love might be my only hope. I've been dating Mark for 6 months and have known him for around 8 months. I just moved to my current city 9 months ago for grad school, and Mark was one of the first people that I become close with. He's been really great and helped me feel comfortable in a new city. Recently, Mark and I said I love you for the first time. Everything was fine for a while until he told me that I was the first person he's ever said that to. I was a little surprised, but not in a bad way, and didn't really make a big deal of it. He asked me how many other guys I've said it to. I told him one. That seemed to bother him. Mark knows that I'm still occasionally in contact with one of my exes, Eli, and it has never been an issue for Mark. However, after our conversation, Mark asked me if Eli was the ex that I had said I love you to. I was honest and said yes. Background: Eli and I grew up together and dated from when we were 15 to 22. We broke up when I got accepted to grad school and found out I'd have to move across the country because we realized that we had grown into different people and weren't going to spend our lives together. The breakup was extremely amicable, and we remained close friends while I was town before I moved. And we talk maybe once a week currently. Just basic "how are you" texts. Mark asked me how I feel about Eli now. I said that while I don't love him romantically anymore, he was a huge part of my life since childhood, and I still have very positive feelings about him and consider him an important person. Mark kept pressing, asking me if I still love Eli in any sense. I said that no, I am not in love with him, but Mark almost didn't seem to believe me. He kept prodding me until I finally said that I will probably always love Eli as a person and respect him a lot, but that I have no romantic connection to him and fully accept that we are different people now. Mark was upset by this. The next day, Mark told me that he doesn't think that I can truly love him unless I learn to unlove the men from my past. I asked what he meant and again clarified that I am not in love with Eli, and he said that I should retain no love in any form for any other guys I've been with. I was, quite honestly, shocked and tried to explain to him that me loving someone as a friend is totally and completely different than being romantically in love with someone, and that he is the only one I have those feelings for. He insisted that I need to change my feelings about Eli. He almost seemed mad that I'm not resentful over the breakup. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Is this totally weird and out of line, or am I overreacting? Just to be clear, Eli and I talk very sparingly, probably 10 texts a week, if that, just to check in. I have no feelings for him anymore. But he was a huge part of my life for many, many years, and I don't think it's unreasonable for me to have generally positive feelings for him. Is Mark out of line? Or am I? Update 1. Figured I'd update my post from about a month ago. Unfortunately, there wasn't a happy ending, but I am very grateful for a lot of the advice I received here. Thank you, Reddit, for helping me keep my head on straight. After I made my first post, I read all the comments and thought about everything for a few days. A lot of people mentioned that they would not be comfortable with the frequency of my communication with my ex. I thought that was very fair. People also mentioned that Mark's behavior was pretty controlling and not okay. I also thought that was fair. I went to talk to Mark and told him that I understood if he was uncomfortable with me being in touch with Eli weekly, and that I would be totally willing to cut that down. I also reiterated again that I was not currently in love with Eli, and hadn't been for a while. Mark was understanding this time and seemed happy with the fact that I offered to cut down my contact with Eli. But then I told Mark that although I was willing to do this, I wasn't happy with how he approached the issue, and that I found his behavior controlling. I basically told him that I want him to approach issues in a more rational way, and I would appreciate if he opened a dialogue rather than just telling me what to do, and that I wouldn't put up with him trying to command me to do something, especially something so ridiculous. I said everything in the same tone as I used for the first half of the conversation. I wasn't yelling at him or admonishing him, just trying to let him know where my boundaries are. You guys, Mark, flew off the handle. He started screaming at me. I obviously wasn't having it, so I got up to leave. He started throwing dishes and random kitchen items at me and grabbed me and slammed my head into the door jamb. I ended up with a nasty black eye and a busted lip. Luckily for me, a neighbor heard the commotion and called the cops. Mark was arrested and I was taken to the hospital. Yes, I'm pressing charges and filed for a restraining order. Overall, it was a horrible incident, but I'm glad this happened earlier in the relationship rather than later. And I am forever grateful for the neighbor who called the cops. I'm also grateful to most of you guys for telling me that I wasn't being insane in my first post and for pointing out the early warning signs. It wasn't the best ending, but I'm okay, and I'm just glad it's over. Take this as a cautionary tale, I guess. Update 2. I never thought I'd be back here with another update, but things have taken an unexpected turn. I'm safe, don't worry, but there's more to this story than I ever could have imagined. After the incident with Mark, I thought the worst was behind me. I moved in with a friend temporarily while I got things sorted out. I was dealing with the police, filing the restraining order, and trying to process everything that had happened. It was overwhelming, but I was focused on moving forward. Then, a couple of weeks ago, I got a message from Eli. Eli and I hadn't spoken since the night everything went down with Mark. He reached out because he had heard what happened from mutual friends back home. He was worried about me and wanted to make sure I was okay. We ended up talking on the phone for hours, just catching up and comforting each other. It was like old times, but without any of the romantic feelings, just two people who have a lot of history, supporting one another. After that conversation, I noticed something strange. Mark had been in jail, but suddenly, I started getting these weird, anonymous messages online. They were creepy, saying things like, "You'll never be free of me," and "I know where you are." It freaked me out, but I didn't immediately connect it to Mark. I mean, he was in jail. How could he be messaging me? Then, a few days later, Eli called me in a panic. He said someone had broken into his apartment. Nothing was stolen, but whoever it was had trashed the place, leaving messages written on the walls. Messages about me. It was terrifying. We both went to the police, but they didn't have much to go on. Eli was shaken, and I felt sick to my stomach. Could Mark somehow be behind this? I decided to do some digging, and here's where things get really wild. I found out that Mark had been released on bail and had been living with his brother, who just so happens to be a tech-savvy guy with a pretty shady past. It turns out Mark's brother had been helping him harass me online and possibly even orchestrated the break-in at Eli's place. The police are now investigating both of them, but it's been a nightmare. I've moved again, this time to a different city, and cut off all contact with anyone who might lead Mark to me. Eli and I are still in touch, but we're both keeping a low profile until this all blows over. I can't believe how quickly things escalated, and I never thought Mark would go to such lengths to try and control me, even after everything that happened. I'm doing my best to stay strong, but honestly, I'm scared. Thank you to everyone who reached out after my last update. Your support has meant the world to me. I'll keep you posted if anything else happens, but for now, I'm just trying to stay safe and rebuild my life. Update 3. I'm back with what I hope is my final update. The last few months have been a roller coaster, and I'm just now beginning to catch my breath. After my last update, things got even more intense. The police continued their investigation into Mark and his brother, and it turns out they were involved in way more than just harassing me and Eli. They uncovered a whole network of illegal activities that Mark's brother was running, and Mark was more deeply involved than I ever realized. It's like something out of a movie, but unfortunately, it was my life. Mark and his brother were both arrested again, this time on much more serious charges, and I'm relieved to say that they're not getting out anytime soon. I've been working closely with law enforcement, and they've reassured me that Mark won't be able to hurt me or anyone else again. It's a strange mix of emotions, relief, anger, sadness, but mostly I'm just glad it's over. In the midst of all this chaos, something unexpected happened. Eli and I grew closer. We were both going through a lot, and having each other to lean on made all the difference. It started out as just support, but over time I realized that those old feelings I thought were long gone had started to resurface. I didn't want to rush into anything, given everything that had happened, but Eli and I decided to give our relationship another shot. It's different this time. We're older, wiser, and more aware of what we want and need from each other. We're taking things slow, but I'm happy. After everything that's happened, Ed, I never thought I'd be able to trust anyone again, let alone rekindle a relationship with an ex. But life is unpredictable, and sometimes things come full circle in ways you'd never expect. So that's where I am now. I'm in a new city, with a new perspective and a renewed sense of hope. It hasn't been easy, and I still have moments where I feel like looking over my shoulder, but I'm working on moving forward. Eli and I are doing well, and I'm finally starting to feel like I'm regaining control of my life. Thank you, Reddit, for being there for me through all of this. Your support and advice have been invaluable, and I'm so grateful for this community. If there's anything I've learned from this whole ordeal, it's to trust your instincts. Lean on the people who care about you and never be afraid to stand up for yourself. Stay safe, everyone.